details in a federal civil lawsuit accusing officers with the Marion Correctional Treatment Center of brutally beating an inmate to death. Good evening, I'm Kristen Kwan.
And I'm Casey Getz. We first brought you this story back in June. Now, News5's Kylie Hill finds out that the FBI is also investigating. Kylie.
The FBI is looking into the death of 52-year-old Charles James Givens. According to the plaintiff's attorney, Paul Stanley, the FBI has identified Givens as a possible victim of crime. This comes months after a federal civil lawsuit was filed. According to the lawsuit, Givens was last seen alive on the morning of February 5th, 2022, being escorted to his cell from the shower room by correctional officers. 1 year later, the lawsuit states those 5 officers beat Givens, ultimately killing him. His sister, Kimberly Hobbs, was first told that her brother died of natural causes. However, the autopsy we obtained shows that he died due to blunt force trauma of the torso. Attorney Paul Stanley released a statement regarding the investigation that reads in part, quote, having no voice with which to express the years of abuse he suffered at the hands of those at Marion Correctional Treatment Center, Mr. Givens could only rely on some of those Virginia Department of Corrections employees to help him. Unfortunately, his plight demonstrates an environment at some Virginia prisons that suppresses the reporting of inmate abuse. The lawsuit states Givens suffered a traumatic brain injury after falling down a flight of stairs when he was a child, making his intellectual and emotional development limited to that of a second or third grader. He also suffered from Crohn's disease, which sometimes caused him to defecate himself. The lawsuit alleges that made Givens a target of the defendant correctional officer's abuse. In June, I spoke with attorneys from both sides about what they believe happened to Charles Givens.
The autopsy that the medical examiner performed shows that he was beaten to death. There was no one in a position to have done this to him other than those correctional officers, and there was a witness that saw part of the beating.
The cause of death is undisputed, that the injury, that the blunt trauma from some source is the cause of his death. Now, his sister claims and speculates and thinks, oh, somebody must have done something to cause this, when in fact he has a long history of injuries from falling.
According to the Virginia Department of Corrections, the 5 officers remain employed by the DOC but are currently on suspension. We will continue to update you on air and online for the latest developments in this story.